Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I have for you part 2 of my Easter block decor series. I have 2 very pretty Easter wood eggs and a very cute spring wood flower block decor piece as well. These pieces I am showing you today would look lovely on a table, a buffet or tree table, a tiered tray, on your desk, or a teacher's desk, or just anywhere where you would want to add a touch of spring and Easter decor. Love making these wood cube decor pieces, and with the help of pretty scrapbook papers, pretty ribbons, and pretty embellishments, these are so enjoyable to create. Welcome all to my channel today. If you're not currently a subscriber and you enjoy this tutorial, please consider subscribing and as well give this video a thumbs up. And as always, your questions and your comments are always welcomed. All right, let's get busy creating these Easter decor pieces. I have here the wood cubes, all of which I purchased at Hobby Lobby, 40% off every other week. I have the more squared cube, and I also have the more rounded cube on the corners. Now, the directions to put those cubes together are in the video I very recently posted, part 1 of the Easter block decor series. I have just simply a 6-inch wood dowel inserted into the wood cube, and I secure that with Gorilla wood glue. And it's very simple how to do that, but I have detailed instructions in the part 1 video that I recently posted. Here I have the Easter egg. I'm doing 2 of these today. These are from the Dollar Tree. Now, I did glue 3 of these together with Gorilla wood glue. I wanted to glue them together so I would have a thicker, more substantial piece. And I divided that egg in 3 sections because I'm going to be putting different scrapbook papers in each section. Now, I'm showing you here I gathered together in my little bin from the Dollar Tree any of the ribbons that are possibilities that I'm going to be using on these pieces. This is generally what I do, is gather my ribbons together in a little bin, as well as any embellishments that I might be using on the piece. I have there some rickrack, some pretty ribbons from Walmart, and also from Joann's. And I have some as well from Hobby Lobby. So notice that all of my ribbons are narrow. I think the widest one is 7/8 inch. So they're all under an inch. So those are the ribbons that I'm going to be using. Now, of course, the ribbons that you use is totally up to you, but I'm going to urge you to use narrow ribbons, colorful ribbons, and a variety of patterns. Okay, now for my first egg, I'm going to be using scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. I'm using a very small print scrapbook paper because the area that I'm covering on that egg, I don't want a wide or a big scrap design on the paper. Okay, so it should be a small design, something like that, with the little flowers. Polka dots are wonderful for this project. A tiny gingham check is awesome. Any kind of very small floral print. And so you can decide for yourself what patterns, what colors that you want to use. I did my first egg in pastels colors, pretty pinks and orchids. And as you can see here, I divided my egg in 3 sections. I did use a ruler to make a straight line across the egg. Now I'm going to show you how to cut out the sections if you divide your egg, which I want to recommend that you do that for a more interesting looking piece. So I'm just going to outline around the area that I want to cover for that first section. So after I do that, then I take a ruler and I draw a straight line across to meet those 2 ends. And that's going to be my first section at the top of my egg. Then I'm going to use my polka dot in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and put the line of my second section there. Just put it right on the line of that scrapbook paper. And then I'm going to draw around that second section, like so. Then I'm going to take my ruler and end to end, I'm just going to place a straight line. And now I have the second section of my egg. And then for my third section, I'm going to use this really pretty orchid floral paper. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on the line of the paper as well. I always try and make the best use of my scrapbook paper since I use so much of it. I do, try and use it wisely. So I put my line right on the edge of the paper, trace around the bottom of the egg, and now I have my third section. So all I have to do is cut those out. Now for the back side of the egg, I just used one of the scrapbook papers to cover the back side. You're going to have that dowel in the back, and I'm going to be decorating the front of the egg. I don't really think it's necessary to do the 3 sections, but if you would like to do that, feel free. You just repeat the same process that you did for the front. You could also use the pieces that you already cut out and just trace around those if you want to finish the back of your egg with the 3 sections. I did finish mine, but I just used one of the scrapbook papers. Now I'm showing you here. You see, that's my sections of my egg, and that was so easy to do. And I just cut it out with scissors, and I will be Mod Podging that on to that wood egg. Now I will be painting the sides of the egg. You'll see that in a bit. And that is the scrapbook paper that I'm going to use for the back side. I always finish the back of these pieces with some type of material, either scrapbook paper or whatever the case may be. And that way it's completely finished. And then that wood dowel will be attached to the back of the egg. Now you can really have fun with these eggs. You can mix up, oh my goodness, the colors, the patterns, so much potential. Now, since I'm cutting out my scrapbook papers, I'm going to go ahead with the second egg that I'm going to do. Now, if you're going to do 2 eggs, you go ahead with whatever it is you're going to be placing on your second egg. My second egg is going to be placed on this beautiful scrapbook paper that I so much adore from Hobby Lobby. This one has a little bit of a flower print. It almost feels like a fabric. You've seen me use this before if you follow my channel. I use this one and another one that's very similar to this one. Absolutely love it. This is one of the more high-end scrapbook papers. I believe they're $1.99, but I always get my scrapbook papers 40% off every other week. So I just traced around my eggs, cut them out. And on this one, I'm not obviously going to be dividing it into sections. It's just going to cover one solid piece on the front and the back. Now for this wood block, I'm going to use Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster because it's an off-white, a creamy color, and that's going to go well with the scrapbook paper that I'm using. And then the other one, the other egg with the pink and orchid, that I'm going to use Snow White Waverly chalk paint on that. So you can see I'm painting the edges. I'm also going to be putting some little embellishments on the wood block itself. These are from the variety pack of Easter embellishments in wood that I got at Michael's. I'm going to be using 2 rabbits and 2 eggs. So I went ahead and I painted the edges all around my bunnies or my rabbits and also the eggs. Now the eggs I got at the Dollar Tree. I am going to be covering those rabbits and the eggs with scrapbook paper as well. One of the bunnies is going to be of that floral, and then the eggs are going to be, one is going to be polka dot, one of the bunnies is going to be polka dot. The other is going to be that floral print. Now I'm going to go ahead and trace around my bunnies, and I'm going to be cutting that out. And yes, it's a little tedious because, yeah, you could see the outline of that bunny, but it wasn't bad. I promise. I got through it just fine. So I'm going to be cutting out that scrapbook paper, and that is going to go on to my bunnies and my eggs with my push, just like the scrapbook paper will go on the egg with my push, the big egg. So going about doing all my tracing and my cutting. What would I do without scrapbook paper? Oh my goodness. Do I ever love it? Okay. So I have the sponge applicator out. That must mean it's time to Mod Podge. So I'm going to take my sponge applicator that I keep in a baggie, especially when I'm doing projects where I'm going to be using it over and over and over so it doesn't dry out. I keep it in a little baggie. I keep my Mod Podge in a squirt bottle that I pick up in the kitchen department at Walmart. Oh, it works so great to do it like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put my sections of scrapbook paper on the front of my egg, aligning everything up as best I can. Now, as far as any overhang on the edges, you can use a zip sander or whatever your method of choice is to finish the edges, or you can simply trim it up with a pair of scissors. I did just trim mine up with a pair of scissors. Now I'm putting on the other sections. Now, for the lines of the egg where the scrapbook paper, one scrapbook paper meets another, don't worry if it's not absolutely perfect and straight because we're going to be placing a rickrack on there, and that's just going to camouflage any little imperfections. Now, I just find it plenty sufficient to just take my fingers and rub it over the scrapbook paper after I apply it onto the Mod Podge. No rippling or bubbles or anything of the like. That's very simple to do this, just by smoothing it out with your fingers. Again, any excess on the edges, trim it up or use a whatever type of sander that you like to use. Now just remember you did paint the sides of your egg, so you're going to want to be careful. I'm showing you here, you can use that or you can use that. The scissors, which I find it just as easy to use scissors, but that's that's me. Okay, so we're going to put that back on there with that pretty scrapbook paper with orchid flowers. And my egg will be all covered. Be sure you have it aligned properly. And just smooth it out with your hand and your fingers. And now you have a very pretty pastel colored egg. I'm going to also cover the bunnies and the eggs while I'm at it. I may as well do that. All right, now I have my rickrack. This is a very narrow rickrack, very pretty. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. It's on sale every other week, 40% off in the sewing department where they have the ribbons and the trims. I'm going to use Aleene's tacky glue. Just run a stream of glue right down that area between the two scrapbook papers. Snip off the excess on the sides, on the edges, and now you have a very pretty little trim on your egg. I'm going to also do it, of course, for the other section. Okay, now, of course, there is a bow. So I'm going to be using this very pretty sheer pink polka dot, very narrow ribbon. I believe that is from Walmart. Yes, it's from Walmart. So I'm going to do my figure 8 bows that you see me do so often. If you follow my channel, I'm just creating bows in the shape of figure 8s. So I have 2 figure 8s together there. I keep it in the center, secure with my thumb and my index finger, and I take a piece of 26 gauge wire that I pick up at the Dollar Tree, and I just pull it super tight right in the center. I love it doing it this way because it scrunches up the center of that bow and really gives the bow a nice look. So I have one bow with this sheer pink polka dots, and that's going to go right on the egg. But before I put it on the egg, you'll see me do something else here. I'm going to show you, I am going to be putting a little white flower in the center of this bow. Now, I go to the paper studio at Hobby Lobby. Every other week, all of those embellishments are 40% off. They have awesome embellishments, little flowers, all kinds of trims to do little projects like this. I suggest you really take a good look in that department and think about, how you could use some of the embellishments there, because they come in so handy and they're always like the most perfect touch on a piece. Paper Studio at Hobby Lobby. Okay, so I took a white satin ribbon and I just created one figure 8 bow and I left little tails on it. And I'm going to be putting that under the sheer pink polka dot bow. So this will be a nice little base for that. And it's going to go right in the center of that middle section of that egg. And it's just a really pretty little satin ribbon. I pick up a lot of ribbons at Walmart. They have beautiful narrow ribbons. It's my favorite place to buy narrow ribbons. This one I'm sure came from there. So I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue and I'm going to glue that right in the center of that middle section of my egg. Now I'm going to pop that sheer pink ribbon with polka dots right on top of that, matching up the centers. Now, sometimes when I do these bows, I wire them all together, but sometimes I just hot glue them. It works just as well. So in the center of that bow, I'm going to put one of those little tiny white flowers that I got in a package in the paper studio section of Hobby Lobby. You'll find that where they have the stickers, it's in that area. And there's the little flower. I'm just going to put that right in the center, and that's going to look so pretty. And there we have our very pretty pastel egg. Isn't that lovely? I just love it. I think it's so pretty. Okay, so now I have my block, and I'm going to be placing one embellishment per side of that block. But before I do that, there goes the finger tap. I'm thinking. I do that. I always do that. Well, I always know what I'm thinking about. What am I going to do? And always I'm tapping my finger. That's just something I do. Okay, so I took a piece of that sheer ribbon, and I just wanted a little something to go around the block rather than just gluing those rabbits and eggs to the block. I wanted a little something around. So right around the center of the block, I created my seam, or where I start my ribbon and end my ribbon, on the back side. So I always have a favorite side on these blocks. It just, however it turns out, so how the dowel is sitting, or maybe just maybe there's a little defect in one of the sides of the block. I always have my favorite side. So I make sure I have that seam in the back. Now I'm going to put on my bunnies and my eggs. And this is just the cutest touch on this block decor piece. I am just a little bit crazy for all of these block decor pieces I've been making. I did them for Valentine's Day. I did 3 last week for Easter. I think I've started a new habit. For every holiday or season, I think I'm going to be doing these. I love them. They're so much fun to do. I hope you love them as well, and I hope you feel inspired to create them. I give them as gifts. And I mentioned in my last video, my goodness, they are so well received. They are very, very happily received. So I am going to be putting that egg on there. And I'm going to be using Aleene's Tacky Glue. But I created one more of those figure 8 bows. Just one figure 8. So it's 2 loops with that white satin ribbon. Now, the greatest find was I went to the Dollar Tree the other day, and I found one of my very favorite florals. Now, you won't hear me say that too often about Dollar Tree florals, but last season, around this time, they came out with this floral that has tiny orchid little blooms, little flowers. I used so much of it. When I went back to find more, I couldn't find any anywhere. I've looked for it ever since then, could never find it anywhere. And I went to a Dollar Tree the other day, and there were so many stems. I just loaded up. I took I think I bought 8 stems of that. But I did leave some for other people. I'm not one of those people who takes it all. I left some. Okay, now I'm taking little blooms, little cutting off little blooms from the stem, and I'm going to place these little orchid blooms. Oh my goodness, do I love it. Right in the center of my bow. I'm also going to bring them around the back of the bow to finish up the back a little bit, but I just use a little tiny dabs of hot glue, and I'm just doing a little arrangement, if you will, in the center of that bow, and this just really pulls in the orchids in that scrapbook paper. Oh, love it. So I was so happy to find them. So I just popped in as many as I felt looked adequate on the piece. Again, I put a few of them in the back as well. And this was just the most beautiful finishing touch for this piece. See how the orchids go together? Very pretty. So the next thing I'm going to do is glue my egg on. And that I'm going to do in the same way that I do all of my embellishments or all of my decor pieces. With the dowel and the block, I use Aleene's tacky glue rather than hot glue. So I'm going to be placing a stream of glue. Either I'm going to place it on the egg or on the dowel. Sometimes I do it in, either or. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. I guess this time I put it right on the dowel. And of course my nozzle is plugged up. Nothing new here. Okay, so stream of glue. And then I'm going to take one of my Dollar Tree clips. I'm going to make sure my egg is placed straight on the dowel. And I'm going to also make sure that my dowel is not poking up from my egg. I want it down lower, about maybe an inch or so. But, you can gauge that by looking at the front of it. And I have my clip on there, and I'm just going to let that dry. And that is project number 1. All right, on to the egg with the very beautiful scrapbook paper. Now, I always like to do something a little bit kind of elegant and very beautiful when I do a series of projects like this. And I just couldn't resist doing an egg with this paper. Any excuse to use this paper, I'll take it. Okay, so I'm going to put Mod Podge on my egg. And I'm going to smooth that out. This is a very textured scrapbook paper. Very, 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 very beautiful. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. Don't worry about the holes in the eggs. We don't care about that. It's going to be covered up. Now, I have this very pretty ribbon. I got this at Joann's. Actually, not this season, but last season. It was on clearance. I do believe I saw it there again. And by the way, I don't know if you all know this yet, but Joann's is closing 500 of their stores. And I'm so not happy because I love Joann's for certain things. Price, a little bit pricey, but sometimes there's just certain things they have that you can't find anywhere else. And so I'm really very disappointed. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the one I go to is one of those stores closing. Anyway, beautiful Easter ribbon. It has these rabbits on it. Oh my goodness. And some little florals. I'm going to do I'm going to create a bow like I normally do, where I fold over my loops, twist it in the center, fold it over. This is my typical method of making bows. If you would like to learn how to make bows like I do, I have multiple tutorials. I'm going to create a little loop in the center by folding it and turning it under, taking my wire and poking it right through the center and securing all of those loops, all 4 of those loops plus the center with a piece of wire. I'm going to twist that very tightly in the back. And this is a beautiful addition to this piece. The ribbon is satin. It has these beautiful rabbits on it, and it's a creamy color. So it just really goes very pretty with that scrapbook paper. And this bow is going to be sitting right at the base of the dowel on this Easter egg decor piece. Now you can use whatever ribbons that you like, and you can create your bows in whatever manner that you like. You could do figure 8s as well and just put some kind of embellishment in the middle. The figure 8 bows are a little bit easier. The other type of bow that I do, a little more technical, but again, I have bow tutorials. Okay, now I am going around and trimming up. I would never take a zip sander to the edges of this scrapbook paper. It's way too beautiful. And like I mentioned, it's almost like a fabric. Very beautiful. I trim it with my sharp scissors, and that's that. Okay, in the paper studio, like I mentioned, they have beautiful trims with sticky backs. This is a pearl trim with little tiny pearls and bigger pearls and a little bit of a design. So pretty for this egg. Now this is more on the elegant side, but I just think it's so beautiful. So there's 2 strips of this pearl design border. It's very sticky on the back. The manufacturer does a beautiful job with these trims, providing a very sticky back and very beautiful trims to embellish crafts. So I'm going to put one right across the middle, and that's going to stick on that scrapbook paper very nicely. Now I want to make sure that's straight, and I can very easily trim that off on the sides. Then I'm going to take another piece of the same trim and put it over the top of that first trim that I placed in the middle. And as you can see, this is really, really very elegant, very beautiful for a wood egg. It really takes it up a beautiful notch or 2 from the average. Okay, and there's my 3rd row. And that's how I'm embellishing this egg. I am going to place a bow on here. And this is going to be so, so pretty. I also took that trim and put it around the cube, the wood cube. And I'll show you that in just a bit. But I pressed everything down to make sure it all stuck very well. And you can see how pretty that is. Now, for the edge, I have a Celebrate ribbon. It's an off-white. It's a creamy color with a very fine gold edging. This ribbon fits absolutely perfectly along the edge of this egg. Now, you could do this or not do this, but I'm going to tell you that one thing that really finishes these eggs off really, really pretty is taking a very narrow ribbon like this and wrapping it around the egg. So that's what I did. Completely wrapped it all the way around. I used glue to attach that. Now I'm taking that same ribbon and I'm going to create some figure 8 bows. I believe I did 4 of them. So I have 8 loops all together. I'm holding it in the center with my thumb and my index finger. I just fold it under and then I fold it over. Secure it with my thumb there. Now I'm going to fold it under. See how I do that? I fold it under, secure it with my fingers, and then I fold it over. Now I have 4 figure 8 bows. So I have a nice little loopy, pretty bow for the front of my egg. I take a piece of wire, wrap it around, pull it really, really, really tight to scrunch up the center of that bow. Cut off the excess because I'm going to be gluing that right onto the center of the egg. Now I did consider placing that bow on the top of the egg because I have been known to do that, to dress up an egg, put it on the top of the egg, which looks really cool as well. Just like that. So I went back and forth, and then I finally decided, I think I'm going to put it on the middle of the egg. So I'm going to simply hot glue that, and then I'm going to take one of those pearls like that from the trim and pop it in the center so it would all match very beautifully. And it did. Okay, so now as I mentioned, I wanted to dress up that block. So I took more of that trim and I'm just going to simply place it on there. It sticks so well on there. And wrap it around, all the way around. And that's going to dress up the bottom of that piece. Now, I'm not putting anything else on the block, just that trim. I think that's just enough of an elegant statement, just like that. Wrapping it around, making sure I have it straight. Now I do have some left over for another project. Absolutely love this trim. I usually have some on hand. I love pearls. As you may have noticed, I use pearls on some of my projects in the past. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my bow on. Now, I place my bow on the cube, but pressed up against the dowel. I don't place it flat on the floor of the cube or on the top of the cube. I lean it basically so that it faces forward. This is a very pretty look for a bow on these woodblock dowel pieces. So I just angled the tails of my bow. Now it's time to put on my egg. And because I don't want to use a clip on this piece, I don't want to risk the indentations of the clip on that beautiful scrapbook paper. So what I'm going to do is use one of my bench cookies, and I'm just going to glue it, put the glue on the dowel, and then place the egg on there and just let it rest on the bench cookie. No clip for this one. You could really see that ribbon on the side. Just be sure that your egg is straight on there. And that's where it's going to dry. And I put the cap back on my alien sticky glue. I can't believe it. I actually did that. Okay. Number 3. All right, so these flowers, maybe I got these at Dollar Tree. They come in a package, a couple of different varieties in the package, as you can see there. Now, I started out using both of those designs, the two different ones. Then later on, you're going to see that I ended up going with just one of the shapes of the flowers. There's nothing wrong with the other one. I just kind of felt that it had like a star shape, and I was really kind of going more for that kind of scalloped look on my flowers. So the directions are all still the same for the way in which you put these together, so it doesn't matter which flower I ended up using. Just follow these simple directions to put these together. Now, I did trace around my greenery for my flowers, and I used a very small green and white gingham check for one, and I used polka dots for the other. Love using that gingham checks and polka dots on these flowers. So you just trace around the flower itself, and then of course you just cut that out the same way you cut out the greenery for the stem and the leaves of the flower. Now I sped this part up a little bit because you've been seeing me do a lot of tracing around things and Mod Podging things on, so I sped it up just a little bit. Now I did take some wood rounds I happen to have in my stash. I believe that one is 1.5 inches or 2 inches. You can use any size wood round that you like to finish off the center of your flower. You can also use half wood rounds. That gives a little dimension to your flower. Now, I did add a couple of those onto my flowers later on. You'll see I did that. But I went ahead and I traced around the circles, and those are going to go in the center of my flowers. And of course, that's going to be a different scrapbook paper. So these flowers, again, as much fun as the eggs. You can do whatever you want. You can mix it up as much as you want, as bright a colors, or if you want just pastels, or you want more muted, more neutral tones, whatever you like. Now, these flowers, these are little chunky wood flowers. I got these at the Dollar Tree. I've never seen these before. So I decided I was going to use them. See how chunky they are? Okay, so I'm going to put one on each side of that cube. So I'm going to be painting the sides of those, and of course I'm going to cover them with scrapbook paper. And I'm going to be painting the sides of all of my pieces with Snow White Waverly chalk paint. So I did do the entire sides on those flowers, mostly because all of my papers have white in them. So I figured that would look fine. I wasn't going to outline in green and then outline in pink and all that. I really didn't want to have to try and match all of those colors in the scrapbook paper. So I just went with Snow White Waverly. Okay, look how cute that is. So what I neglected to just tell you is you're going to cover the front and the back. So for the flowers, you cut 2 each. For the leaves and the stem, you cut 2 each for each of the flowers. I'm going to cover the front and the back. But as far as the centers of the flowers and a little bit of extra trimming we're going to do later, that I just did on the front. I'm not going to be doing all that on the back because the dowel is going to be going up the flower, and it would be pointless to do like all that work in the center of the flower. So I finish a lot of the extra embellishment on the front, but I do put scrapbook paper on both sides so that will have a finished look. Of course, we're using Mod Podge, and the same goes for anything that you cover. Make sure you get everything out to the edges. Nice even coat. Clean up the edges in whatever way you like. I trimmed mine up with scissors. These scalloped edges, it would be a little bit difficult to use a sander on anyway, so just, you could cut with scissors. By the way, those little tiny scissors they have in the Crafter's Square section, I use those all the time for little jobs like this where I need to cut little tiny areas. Okay, now here's those little Dollar Tree chunky flowers. I ended up doing those in pink. Okay, now I have this lot of colored twine that I pick up at the Dollar Tree. Anytime you see colored twine, always pick it up because there's always a use for it eventually. So I have this twine. It's a green and white twisted twine. It's so pretty. And I am going to define the lines of that stem by using my quilling applicator with Elmer's glue in it. If you don't have one of those with the fine tip, use Aleene's Tacky. But just be careful not to blob your glue. Just a real light, tiny amount. And now this may seem like a tedious task, but when I tell you it goes quick, it goes quick. All you have to do is put your glue down, rest your twine inside the trail of glue, and you got it. That's it. It's easy to do. So I did the stem, and now I'm trimming out the leaves. This really gives a really nice appearance to this flower. I am going to be trimming out the rest of the flower as well. I did go around the edges, the petals of the flower, and I trimmed that out. I have different colors. I have pink and white. I have an orchid twine. And so I'm just going to be, defining all the lines of that flower. And this really is one of those finishing touches. You can skip it or not skip it. It's up to you. But I always say details really make a difference. I use my little hook tool that I get from the Dollar Tree. And I find that when I do this process, that hook tool really helps me out. And a pair of sharp scissors to cut that twine really helps out as well. Now, for the centers of my flower, I do use a wood round, a flat wood round, and I am going to use a wood half round, which I'm going to be painting, and you'll see that later. But I'm going to edge the entire flower area. And you could see that I'm doing that there, but I ended up not using that yellow flower. Imagine that. I trimmed it out and I didn't use it because I just wanted to go with the pastels. So I ended up using that little orchid and white small flower print. It's so pretty. It turned out really pretty. And I paired it up with that pink with the white polka dots. But this is how you do it. Bottom line, doesn't matter what kind of what kind of twine you put on there. This is the process. Just trim it out with a stream of glue. Use your fingertips and that hook tool to help you place your twine. And this really gives a nice added touch to this flower. Now I did trim out around my circles that go in the center as well. I did use a different scrapbook paper for the little wood rounds that go in the center of the flower. And then I trimmed them out with twine. This just gives like a layering effect, and it really, adds dimension and visual interest to the piece. Okay, now I didn't make you watch me do this again, but I love, love, love this ribbon from Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby has not put their Easter stuff on sale yet. I'm waiting, and when they do, I'm sure I will pick up more of this ribbon. This is from last year, but they have it every year. Pretty pastel. It's kind of a plaid. Love it. It's a satin. Then I made another white ribbon to go on top. All of these are figure 8 bows, each of them 2 figure 8s per ribbon. And I did 3 of them. The pink ribbon on top with the white stitching, that is a Walmart ribbon. So I attach all of my bows together, and that's going to go on that block. Okay, so you can see here that I switched over to the other scrapbook paper and I used the more scalloped flower. Now I have my 2 wood half rounds, and I'm going to put these right in the center of the flower. I'm just going to hot glue those on. And this adds, a nice little dimension to the flower because the centers poke up. And then you can probably see there that I trimmed the edges. There you can see now. I trimmed the edges of that wood round with that twine. Okay, now I have my little chunky flowers from, Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to take some of those tiny little white flowers, the one I used on the center of my bow for my first egg, and I'm going to put one in the center of each of those little chunky flowers, and they're going to go on each side of that wood cube. Now for the center of my bow, I took out my paper flowers from the Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby. I chose a nice shade of pink that would go well, and I popped it right in the center of my very pretty bow. That's going to go at the base of my flowers. Now I think these are so cute to use with Easter decor, but also just cute for springtime. So you could keep them, around even after Easter is over, but I think so cute to place with Easter decor. Now I'm going to be placing both of those flowers on that wood dowel. So I have to decide exactly how I want to place them. I know they're going to overlap a little bit, one upon another, and I'm going to tilt them a little bit so that each of the flowers shows well once it's on the dowel. And then I'm going to hot glue them together once I make my decision exactly how I want to place them. I'm doing a little trial here to see exactly how I want to do that. Now I'm going to hot glue those flowers together, and then I'll use Aleene's tacky glue to glue them to the dowel. So I place them on there and determine exactly where I need to place my glue. And I decided primarily it was on the stem. So I put my hot glue on, place my flowers together. Now, you'll notice on the second flower that I did, that I changed my mind about later, guess what I forgot to do? Paint the sides of the flower. I can't believe I did that. So now I do have to go and do that, which I will be doing before I actually display them. But just in case you notice that wood around the edges of that flower, it will be taken care of. I'm going to just use a little tiny fine tip paintbrush and go around the edges with the Snow White Waverly and just take care of that. No big deal. So Aleene's tacky glue, it's going to hold that on there, and I will be using clips to hold that. I believe I had to use 2 clips to hold that. They do have those cubes at the Dollar Tree. I don't know if I mentioned that, but they are smaller cubes. So I'm not really sure if those smaller cubes would be able to hold those 2 flowers. I think they would hold 1, but I'm not sure about 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put my scrapbook paper on my little chunky flowers, put all of my little white flowers in the center, and then I'm going to hot glue them onto the cube. And now this is a very cute touch on this piece. Yes, I do. I have my clips on there now. I have one at the top and one at the bottom. Okay, so I'm hot gluing. I pop that right in the center. Oh, that's so cute. And then my bow is going to go right at the base of my flowers, and that's going to look so pretty sitting on there. I think these are so cute, super cute for a girl's room as well. Yeah, I think any little girl would love this. Speaking of my next project, oh my goodness, I'm dressing up a bunny, and I'm sure any little girl would love this. Yeah, that's next. Okay, so I'm going to trim up my ribbons, and I'm going to hot glue. I think I already did hot glue my ribbon, and I'm going to make sure that I glue it right to the dowel. I want that bow to be facing forward, not laying flat on the block. Just like that. Oh, how cute is that? Y'all have to let me know what you think of these. Which one is your favorite? Which one you think you might make? Maybe you'll make all of them. Let me know in the comments what you think of these. I just think they're so cute. Easter is one of the most fun holidays to decorate for. Look how cute these are. And I know if I say cute one more time, you'll be like, stop, Joann. But oh my goodness, I love them. Let me know what you think. All right? Remember, if you are not currently a subscriber, I hope you will become one. And as well, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel to grow. And as well, don't forget to leave me comments. Let me know which one is your favorite. Until next time, you all take care.